Hi, you've reached the Talking Racewalking podcast. It's all about racewalking, of course. It's talking to racewalkers from around the world about racewalking. Join me, Noel Payne, a amateur racewalker in Canada, as I talk to elites, Olympians, record holders, masters walkers, and anybody who's out walking as fast as they can. Hi, so this is a section where I'd actually be talking to someone, a race walker. So this is where you can come in. If you know a race walker, you're a race walker, and you have an amazing story, I want to hear from you. So reach out, let's chat, let's get walking and talking. Hey everyone, welcome to another Talking Racewalking podcast episode. I have the honor today of bringing on two Canadian racewalkers. So I've gone around the world, talked to some people from different countries, but back to Canada. So now I'm going to do a long-winded introduction for these two folks. So I've got two Canadian racewalkers. I've got coach and athlete, teammates, Canadian racewalk relay record holders, and Olympic team members, Evan Dunfee and Olivia Lundman. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, excited to be here.
So I did say it was long-winded, but I mean, I think it's warranted. It's a pretty cool situation to have two Canadian racewalkers on together, record holders, and going to the Olympics. And that unique situation, which I think is really cool for you guys, where you're teammates, but also coach and athletes. So how cool and unique is that? I'll start off with Olivia. So how is this whole situation feeling to you? I mean, we won't even get to the Olympic, team member yet, which must be just still sinking in, but what's it feel like to be on a team with Evan and your coach and everything else? How does it feel?
Yeah, it's really cool for sure. I mean, even before Evan became my coach, he was always a role model to me and someone that I looked up to in the Canadian racewalking community. And so now to go from little me getting him to sign my number at a meet to now being on a team with him and competing at the Olympics. As a former UBC athlete himself, people have often said that I'm following in his footsteps, and now I am quite literally following in his footsteps on the race course. So
completely in the relay.
Yep, exactly. So it's really a unique experience, but it's definitely an honor to get to compete with and alongside such an experienced athlete and very accomplished in his own performances as well. And then having him as a coach as well, he has so much experience, having kind of as going back to his footsteps. So he's been in my shoes just a few years ago, and so having that kind of knowledge that he can give to me is priceless.
No, I definitely agree. And I introduced you guys, but for those that are hitting the podcast and either are new to race walking or don't know these two, which I don't know how you wouldn't, at least Evan and Olivia, everybody's going to know you soon enough. So let me start off with Olivia is just starting out. She's at UBC, but she is an accomplished race walker herself, one-time national champion. You were at a race walk, I think, World Cup already, and then the mixed relay, 5,000 meter time, 22:53, 10,000, 47:24. You've got a 20K, a 143. Just this past March, you threw down 23:48. And I think if I'm wrong, I don't think you were going 100% full tilt on that one. So you held it back a little bit on that 5K. So looking sharp at the start of this year. And you've been race walking for a few years now, and now under Evan. And going back to Evan, you are right. I had to actually almost make extra space for Evan's stats and credentials. So I will try and do it. Evan, I'm going to miss a few. I think I've left off a couple like Francophone games. Oops. So I haven't actually lifted off, but so I've mentioned that one.
You'll probably get more than I could remember. So we're
Okay,
good.
sounds good. So Evan Dunfee, he's our Canadian race walker, multiple record holder. But if we go through it, I think I've got this right. Two-time Olympian, two times at the Pan American Games, four-time world champs participation, three times at World Racewalk Cup, three times Commonwealth Games. And those participations have produced an Olympic bronze medal, World Championship bronze medal, Pan American gold, Commonwealth gold, nine times national outdoor champion, one time national indoor champion, 10,000 meter time, 38:25, 5,000, 18:39, 20K, 1:18:03. And I didn't say the 50K time, but once again, there I haven't said it, but now I've mentioned it. So that I don't think we'll go into the 50K because they're all sad about that. But Evan, that's an impressive list of accomplishments. So after all that, same question that I asked Olivia, what's it feel like in this unique situation as well, where you're on a team, which doesn't happen in race walking normally, not like this, and you're on with a fellow race walker, as who's also at UBC, but that you're also coaching. What kind of a unique situation is this for you?
Oh, it's incredibly unique. I mean, most obviously, how often does a coach get to have such a direct impact on the outcome of their athletes? So to get to literally be a part of that and do what I could on my end to help put us in the in a position where we could qualify, and then for Olivia to come through as well as she did, and to walk such fantastic legs on her two legs, to really bring us home. I was feeling a little, my first leg was really good. I felt really happy with that. I handed off just, the Japanese guys, I think, walked a 3:38 last kilometer of the 12K leg. And I was kind of like, yeah, we don't need to do that. So I came in sort of 10 seconds back of those guys, but I think handed off to Olivia just right in the thick of that main lead group. And I was really pleased with that. And Olivia had a great first leg, and then my second leg, I was pretty disappointed by. It's so hard because you don't know, you're by yourself at that point in time. You're just time trialing essentially. And so I had an idea in my head of how fast I could go. And I figured it would be somewhere in the mid 39s, and ended up kind of walking 40:20-ish and feeling pretty bummed out about that, not knowing what anyone else had done. Turned out afterwards that it was the fifth fastest second leg of all the guys, and it turned out to be good enough. But I was definitely feeling stressed out at the start of that fourth leg for Olivia on that last leg, thinking, and I don't know if I did enough to keep us in a spot here. And sure enough, we got in there with a little bit of a buffer, and it turned out to be enough. But yeah, it was a really unique experience, really unique race. I still don't know if it replaces my love of the 50K, but it was certainly better than. It was more exciting than I thought it was going to be, for sure. Broadcast wise, I haven't watched the race back yet. Heard some gripes about the broadcast ability of it, but certainly I think there's ways that can be done better, and that it could be showcased in a way that actually is kind of engaging and really good. So hopefully World Team Championships this time around was a lesson for all of us, because it was the first time it's ever really been broadcast as well. So just hope that those lessons get learned, and that the product in Paris is palpable and is entertaining and is good, and and for Olivia and I, that we get there and learn some of the lessons, learn from some of the lessons we took away from Turkey, and can bump ourselves up a few more spots and see if we can lower that record a little bit further.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that it was a positive experience. And for those listening as well, most of you are probably race walk geeks, I'm assuming, but for those that didn't really sort of capture this, so Evan and Olivia teamed up, did the World Team Championship mixed relay in Turkey, which is basically 42K kind of broken up into slightly weird distances, so not 10K exactly. they were going, and this was really a bid for Olympic spots. That's really what this race was. Everybody was pretty much. Now, Evan, can you confirm, was it the top 20? What was the top? How did they determine that now? Top how many teams?
Yeah, so 25 teams will compete in Paris. 22 of those spots were confirmed in Turkey. The caveat being that only 5 teams could have a second, or only 5 countries could have 2 teams.
Right. Okay.
So in Antalya, in Turkey, countries could enter up to 3 teams each. So there were cases that teams that finished ahead of us weren't eligible to be selected. So it led to a lot of math going on. And it was about 4 o'clock in the morning back home in Vancouver. All the race was happening, and I had my partner Sarah and my former teammate Iñaki on the WhatsApp group trying to feed us through all the math that needed to be done. And so they were pretty tired, and we definitely collectively made a few mistakes along the way that made us a little bit more stressed than we needed to be. But yeah, so we were basically competing we knew that there would be more than 5 second teams ahead of us. So we essentially were just trying to be in the top 17 first, top 17 countries. And we knew if we were in the top 17 countries, we'd be in the top 22. And we ended up in 21st position of the qualifying spots and 26th position overall. So we had that tiny little bit of a buffer. We had about 80 seconds on the team that finished just outside the qualification window. And that was the Portuguese team with João Vieira, who beat me by 2 seconds at World Championships in Doha in 2019, and who I passed at about 48.5K in Tokyo to move ahead of him. So we've had some good tussles over the years. So it was another good tussle between us.
No, well fought battle. So, and Olivia, this one's for you. Evan's been out there and been international competitions, and he's got the experience. What was it like? I mean, this is pretty much your second really big event, and then a new relay to jump into as well. Now, I will also mention that you and Dmitry Babenko did set the initial Canadian mixed relay record. I think Dimitri's crushed that it's but Dimitri's an amazing masters athlete. He's got plenty of records, so I think he's fine. But what was the relay experience for you like, Olivia?
Yeah, I mean, even though I'd done that relay before back in October, it's still such a unique event that you learn so much every time you do it. Having that little window in between your 2 legs is really such a unique situation to deal with, because it's enough time to allow you to recover more than just like a set break during a workout, but it's not enough time so that when you're doing your second leg, you feel fully recovered. But again, during that second leg, that's kind of just when that's like your last leg. You just have to give it everything you have. And so that was kind of my goal going into it. Like, I wanted to have a strong first leg, and then save a tiny bit for my second leg and to have a strong finish. And finishing the first leg, I had my hamstrings were starting to get tight, and so during the break, like, I cooled down and I had some like light massage on my hamstrings. And then second leg, I decided to start off a bit easier to kind of like prolong the onset of pain. But pretty soon I started to feel it. But at that point, I was like, you know what, this is like my performance here is what our Olympics hinge on. So the goal was just to get to that finish line as fast as I could, while still walking clean. And so, yeah, I mean, as any race goes on, you start to feel it more and more. And those last couple laps were a struggle. And I was just trying to keep going as fast as I could without letting too many people pass me, because of course I had no idea what position we were in.
Yeah,
And so I didn't
very
know,
confusing to watch as well. I mean, I think Evan was mentioning that too.
yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to track it. So was it just as hard like while you're racing to figure out kind of like where you're at?
Yeah, because like by that point in the fourth leg, like there were some teams that were ahead of us, some teams were behind us, and then there's some teams that were getting pulled into the penalty box. So then there were some teams that hadn't even been like lapped, and so it was confusing as like okay, which teams. Sometimes I'd pass someone, but then they'd go into the penalty box and then they come out, and then they'd stop ahead of me and then pass me, and so I really had no idea where we were. I didn't know if we were well inside the buffer or the cutoff, or if we had like no chance of making it. So I was like, you know what, just gonna get to the finish line as fast as I can, and if we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't. Um, and then it was like the last lap, and it's 2K loop, and so I came around the corner, went past the refreshment tables, and then it's like maybe like a 400-meter long stretch to the finish line, and Evan was on the other side of the fence outside the course, like encouraging me, yelling at me to like go, go, go. And so I was like, okay, so close, just need to get to the finish line. But my body had a different plan,
Oh,
and
I think I've heard about
I
this
was like,
part.
yeah, you probably heard the famous last few hundred meters. So I stumbled to a stop and I threw up, and then I was like, okay, keep on going, and made it like not even like 30 meters and had stopped
Like
and threw up again.
not even 10, I'd say. I
I
think
know.
it was about, yeah, it was about got moving again. The momentum started to go forward, and then it was all of a sudden, oh, no, we're stopped again.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then after that, I managed to make it to the finish line, but that finish line seemed so far away. It's like it was just a straight stretch, so it seemed like it shouldn't be that far, like you're almost there.
Yeah.
But it just like if I felt like I was not getting closer, like the more I was walking. Anyways, finally reached the finish line, but of course, when I was stopping, I was terrified that someone was going to pass us, and that was going to be like the difference
Oh no.
in us making it or not making it. And so I just wanted to get to the finish line, and I did. And even like when I crossed the finish line, I had no idea if we'd qualified or not. So
Yeah,
sort of,
from a coaching perspective, I could have done a better job of letting her know that we were in the quota at that point in time. That part sort of slipped my mind. I was more focused on her getting to the finish line at that point, because that I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, let her know that we qualified for the Olympics.
Well, you got the job done. Congratulations, Olivia, and
thank
congratulations, Evan.
you.
Amazing. Olivia, what's it feel like? What did it feel like to find out? And folks, if you're not listening and you don't know Olivia, she is not an old fart like myself and not quite as old as Evan, who's not quite as old as me, but I believe you're only 21. So what's it feel like to be going to the Olympics at age 21?
Yeah, it's definitely not something I could say that I ever imagined, even like a few years ago. If you told me, I'd be at the Olympics, I'd think like maybe 2028. Like that's kind of like where in the progression that I saw myself possibly competing. Um, but I mean, fortunately, with this when they announced this new format last year, that they were going to have this mixed marathon relay in the Olympics. I mean, it changed formats a couple times, but then when they kind of settled on this one, um, my former coach Jerry and Evan and I kind of looked at it and went, like this could be something that you guys could have a shot at. And so since then, it's kind of been like a goal that's like it there in sight, but I didn't know how like far-fetched or achievable it was. Um, but then kind of each step that I took towards it, each like race or qualifying race, we got a bit closer. The reality started to like hit me that okay, this is actually something that's possible. And I mean, I don't think it was even until like I was in the race in Turkey that it kind of sunk in that okay, depending on how this goes, like we could be going to the Olympics. Like this is actually like this is like
Yeah.
Olympic trials, and even like when I found out after the race that we qualified, I don't know if I was like in denial or like I just like it took a while to register that okay, we're going to the Olympics. And then even like since I've been home and people have been congratulating me and asking like how it feels, I think like it's still sinking in. It kind of comes in waves. Like I'll just be going about my life, like going about like training, coaching, studying, and then someone will bring it up, like, oh, how does it feel to go into the Olympics? And I'm like, it just doesn't sound real.
It's
Like,
not real yet. Yeah.
like even like when I say it, like, where are these words coming out of my mouth? Like, this sounds so foreign. Um, so I'm not sure if it's gonna fully hit me until I'm at the Olympics, but I think I'm slowly starting to wrap my head around it. But it's definitely an experience that I'm very fortunate to have.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of, I remember when Iñaki Gomez, my old teammate, qualified for London, and then when myself, him, and Ben qualified for Rio. I see a lot of similarities in how Olivia has responded to this qualification, and I think I think there's a lot, like, again, I think Olivia is a very similar athlete to myself in terms of the focus on the race. The Olympics, it's amazing. The Olympics is like this great, awesome thing, but it's awesome. It's this awesome thing because you get to race against the best in the world.
Right.
You get to stand on that start line and test yourself. And so, I know for me at least, the Olympics kind of became more real. I did the 20K in Rio before the 50K, and it was getting on that start line of 20K and being like, oh yeah, this is cool. I get to like race against the best guys in the world. And I'd been to a couple world championships by that point, but it was still, the Olympics was a little bit bigger stage, and the stakes were just that much higher. And so, yeah, I haven't been, as a from my perspective, I haven't been surprised at Olivia's reaction at all, because I've seen it before. I'm very familiar with that reaction to it. But it's been so funny, before Turkey, having to follow up with a couple of Olivia's professors, just to confirm that she was indeed going to Turkey and not just lying about a race to get out of some exams. But they were professors that I had,
That's a riot.
back when I was at UBC 12 years ago, and just for one of Olivia's professors who rescheduled her exam to July. Now after the race, Olivia got to go back to that professor and be like, hey, actually, we got to reschedule this again because I kind of qualified for the Olympics. And, what a fun email to get to write.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't as lucky. I was at the Olympics when I was 21 years old, but I was on the sidelines with a beer in my hand, and I wasn't in the race. So it's really really special for I'm really excited for Olivia for this opportunity, and from a coaching perspective, just the experience that we'll gain and that she'll gain at this one, that we can put towards LA in 2028, where hopefully she'll be a sub 90-minute walker battling with the best girls in the world on the individual stage as well. So this is just a really great experience gainer, if nothing else. I mean, because the goals coming into this race will be modest. They're not going to be. We're acutely aware that we're not going to be fighting for the podium in this race. But that's not to say that we can't go in there and have some pretty big goals and set ourselves up for success, which would be really exciting.
No, completely. I don't think I was gonna. I had sort of in the back of my brain to mention as well that I think, I mean, you qualified. You weren't in like the top 3 or top 5, but I must say, like you mentioned as well, you squeezed out another formidable walker who didn't make the cut, and there were other teams that brought more walkers, more teams that also didn't make the Olympic cut. So, kudos to both of you for putting in a really strong performance. Like I say, I did see teams. I mean, Canada basically sent 2 of you, and there was other countries that sent a larger a larger team and didn't walk away with any Olympic, um, you know, ticket to Paris. So I think you've done really, really well. And I think, Olivia, you're going to have a great coach and someone to lean on for, to guide you through the Olympic experience. So that's amazing. So now you've got the ticket. What are you doing between now and July? What's next up? What are the races? What's the prep before you get to Paris?
Well, I mean, hopefully, depending on how quick you are at editing this and turning it around, I am hoping that your introduction of Olivia will be out of date by the time this podcast comes out, because Olivia's got a couple races coming up, a 10K and a 5K, where I think will she's in really, really good position to lower those personal bests. So
Nice.
Liv, you want to tell Noel about the couple races you got coming up?
Yeah, so this weekend on Saturday, we have the Canadian 10,000 meter racewalk championships.
Right, the Pacific, the carnival.
Yeah,
Yes,
the distance
perfect.
carnival. Yeah. So Evan and I, along with some of my UBC teammates and various other walkers from Canada, will be competing in the 10,000 meter on the track there. And so, as Evan mentioned, hoping to better my time. I don't think I've raced a 10,000 meter in a couple of years. I think it's been, yeah, almost 2 years now. So it'd be good to get out and see what kind of time I can put down for that. And then about like a week and a half later, I'm going to be in Indiana for the NAIA Track and Field Championships with UBC. And myself and my teammates will be racing the 5,000 meter there. And so, yeah, hoping to further my PB in that and also break the championship record while
Nice.
I'm there. So, yeah, should be a fun trip. And then after that, no races, or like I might do a 5K the week after just for fun. It's a local race. But other than that, there's not really any other races until Paris, which I think would be good to get some solid training in. I haven't been able to have a big block of training lately because of all the recovery and then tapering, and so little bits of training here and there. So it'll be good to get some solid training in. We'll be heading to Switzerland end of July for some altitude training, and then to Spain for some heat training right before we head to Paris, where Evan will be doing his individual 20K first, and then I'll come a bit later, and we'll be getting ready to race the relay on August 7th.
Excellent. So yeah, mark that on your calendars, folks. August 7th, and then we'll get the Evans 20K race date as well. But yeah, everybody to tune into this weekend. It's called the Pacific Carnival. It's a 10,000 meter championships on the track. And we've got, I think, a good squad that'll show up for it. Evan, I think you set a Canadian record a couple years ago at that event as well. So
Yeah, 2021. Once racing came back, it was so exciting. It was the first time I'd gotten to race in a year and a half at that point, and walked 38:39 to set a Canadian record at the time, and I've since lowered that a couple of times. But oh no, sorry, that was a different race. That was the distance carnival was the 5K a week later. I think I walked 18. That was the 18:39. That is still a Canadian record. Still my fastest 5K time.
Yeah, I remember that year because you did
But,
5K and then a 10K right afterwards. I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, snagged 3 Canadian records in 6 days because I got the 3K record in the 5K. So kudos to Tim Barrett for staying on top of all those records. It's always great. He'll message me and tell me I broke a record that I didn't even know I had broken. So love that. But no, it'll be a great race. Rosalie Drapeau,
Yes,
who
the
just
Quebec walker.
set a really good PB at Penn Relays in the 5K a couple weeks back. She'll be coming over to race, which will be really awesome for a couple of the UBC girls behind Olivia. They'll have someone to work off of, and Caitlin Ramage, another girl out in BC who I help coach, will be racing as well. So the women's race will be really exciting. On the guys' side, we have a couple up and comers. as well as Dimitri and Heath and some of the guys that have been around the block for a while. So it'll be a fun race. My brother will be commentating on
yes,
Runner
yes.
Space.
Yep.
So it's kind of a family affair for us. It's great. My mom loves it. She gets to two for the price of one. She gets to see both of us or hear him see me. So no, it's always fun. We're looking forward to that one. And then for St. Moritz, Olivia came with us last year to St. Moritz, just to do some training, get some experience training with some of the Australian girls. And, looking back on it now, what such a smart idea, because now in her Olympic preparation, it's not going to be this new scary thing. She knows the routes, she knows what to expect. And so, just, great job by Jerry last year thinking of sending her over with us, and just that worked out so perfectly, because it's going to set us up really, really well for this year. So no, it's going to be an exciting summer. Buckle down, get some really good training in, and see what we can do in Paris.
Yeah, no, looking forward to seeing the races, and looking forward to seeing how you guys do. And yeah, I think as well, Evan, maybe I'm wrong, but from watching you guys, it seems like there's a really good race walking community as well. I know you and Perseus, Wayne Snyman. There seems like a really good close-knit race walking community, at least in the guys that I see you connected with. And it's so, yeah, I think it must be really nice to be able to get together and train with those folks.
Yeah, St. Moritz there'll be on the guys side, there'll be 6 of us from 5 different countries. They're all sub 118-30 walkers training together. Pretty great group of guys to train with. On the women's side, Olivia's going to get to train alongside Jemima Montag, World Championships silver medalist, and one of the nicest people in our sport, and just all the other fantastic girls that will be there. So it's an inspiring place. It's also one of the most beautiful places on earth. So there's worse places to be, and then just to have that quality of training partners, you can't help but elevate your own game. And Olivia showed last year that she can stick up with those girls and put in some really, really good training with them. And so that's exciting as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, Olivia, I look forward to seeing how you do. I hope good luck with all the training and all the racing. Evan, the same to you. We'll look forward to seeing how things go. And myself and the rest of the race walking community here will be cheering you guys on from afar. So thank you again for coming on to the podcast. If you guys want to find out what these guys are doing, they are on social media. They're on Instagram. Evan's on Twitter and Facebook, and Olivia's out there as well. And I'll be posting stuff on all my social media accounts as well. So good luck, guys. Any last words, any shout outs, anything you want to say before we log off?
I will mention that Evan's 20K in Tokyo, or at the Olympics in Paris, is August 1st.
There we go. Thank you,
on
Olivia.
August 1st, and then we'll be in the relay on August 7th. So
all right, there we go, guys. So August 1st and August 7th, place those dates on your calendar and watch for the race upcoming on this weekend. I am hoping now to get the podcast out before then, so it's not a All right. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Take care. That's it, folks. The end of the podcast. No walkers have been harmed in the recording of this podcast. And of course, at the moment, we have no sponsors or supporters at this point to fund all this amazing podcasting. But if you're out there and have a race walk company that produces some sort of race walk apparel product or something you think race walkers would love, get hold of us. We'd love to have you on board. Give us a holler.